everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. It is Vlogmas day 3 and I'm literally filming at 9:15 at night. I told myself I would vlog like every other day and upload every other day, but it's starting to become this daily thing and that's not how it's gonna be. There's not gonna be a video tomorrow, but I'm so excited for this video. It is literally so long awaited. I am going to be showing you guys how I edit my Instagram pictures today. At this point, I'm literally editing photos for 5 of my friends' Instagrams. I've gotten countless DMs on how to edit the Instagram photos, so I literally have to send people screenshots of how I do it, and like this just needs to happen. So if you're interested in seeing how I keep up my aesthetic and how I edit my Instagram photos, keep on watching and I will see you in the next clip. Okay, so as soon as you have downloaded the Lightroom app, go ahead and add your photos that you want into the photos queue and then go ahead and click on the photo you want to edit. Oops, not that one. This one we're gonna edit. So I actually have a preset set that I use every time, but I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys what that is exactly. So go ahead and click on light. So I turn the exposure up just a tad to about 30-ish, the contrast to about 15. And what this does is if your exposure is up, it kind of washes out the color. So the contrast kind of brings it back in and allows for a little bit of shadow. The highlights I bring down to negative 60-ish. Shadows up to about 45, around there. Whites, I turn them down to about negative 10, and then blacks up just a smidge. You have to be careful with the whites and blacks. Whites actually makes the photo a lot brighter. Sometimes the blacks don't even need to be messed with. It kind of just depends on the shadows and the contrast and if there's a lot of black in your picture. Then go ahead and click on color. So temperature I bring up a lot to about 40. The tint I bring down a little smidge just to bring out the greens and blues in the sky. Vibrance I turn up to about 25 and saturation down to about 25. The reason why I do that is because vibrance just makes it more vibrant, whereas saturation really saturates the color and it just doesn't look good and it looks not natural. So right now we're looking a little washed out, so we're gonna go ahead to our colors. And the red, I bring the hue down to negative 50, the saturation up to around 30, and the luminance down to about 57. The reds are always going to be something you have to edit with any picture you choose because depending on what kind of skin color you are or if there's any reds in the background, sometimes I like to make my reds super bright, so it kind of just depends on the theme you're going for. But definitely your red should always be the same color in every picture that you post on your Instagram. So if you're gonna do the more maroony tone, then you need to stick with that. But if you're gonna do a bright red, then stick with that as well. Next is orange. This is one of the most important ones. I bring it down to about negative 15. This one makes you a little more red. If you can tell like the hue, this is pinky, this is more greeny, so I kind of bring it down a little bit because it makes it more natural when your skin tone is a little bit more pinky. And then I bring the saturation to around 15 and the luminance down to about 15. This actually makes you super orangey, if you can tell, and then super pale. And then the luminance, when you bring it down, you actually get super tan and super white. So depending on how tan you want to be, you could actually bring it down even more. I want to be tanner than I am, but not super tan. Also, if you don't like the orangey look, you can always bring the saturation down and then the luminance down even more, and it looks kind of more like a natural tan, but I do like my pictures a little more orangey, so I do bring it up a little bit more. And then yellows, this is where your picture completely transforms. All you have to worry about is the saturation and luminance. So you bring your saturation down to around 70 and your luminance up to about 50-ish. That is literally the finishing touch. That is when your picture comes together. I know it was looking a little sketch there for a minute, but this is kind of like the finishing product. I do go to detail. I do sharpen my picture around 50. And then I also do my color noise reduction to about 20. And what color noise reduction does is, if you ever notice, your skin will actually get patchy just from playing with all the tones in your skin, like the reds and oranges and just the undertones of your skin. And so it gets patchy, and the color noise reduction kind of blurs out the patches. So always have this on no matter what because it makes it look very natural. And that's basically it for my preset. You could go ahead and click on these 3 dots in the corner. You can create preset right here. It's already created, so I'm not going to click on it. And then it will allow you to like add a name if you want to. And yeah, that's it for one of my presets. I use another preset that I came up with. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys now the other preset that I use. I'm going to click on this picture today. You might be wondering why I have 2 presets, and it kind of just depends on the picture and the lighting. So either one works for my aesthetic, and it's really easy because I have 2 options to play with as my foundation of editing, and then I can go ahead and edit what I need to, like my reds and oranges. I also forgot to mention, just really quickly, I also don't really use the greens and the blues and the purples. I mainly focus on these first 3 because these are the most important. If there's like trees or grass in your picture, definitely want to edit the greens. What I normally do for the rest of these is just turn down the saturation, up the luminance, and same for all of the rest if those colors are in your picture. But typically I don't worry about those too much. Okay, so for this picture, you're gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Start with light. I up my exposure for this one a little bit more than the other, around 60. Contrast, have to up that too a little bit to around 10, 11, 12. Highlights, I bring down all the way. Shadows increase to about 35. Whites down to about 50. And blacks up to 41 or 40. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't need to be that specific. And then for color, temperature, again, bring it up. Not as much as the last preset, but around 25-ish. Tint, I bring it up to be around just a little bit, 1, 2, or 3, just a smidge. Vibrance, I basically do the same thing, bring it up to about 25 and then saturation down to about 20. And now the fun part, our colors. So for the red, I bring the hue down to around -16, saturation up 1, and the luminance down to about 25-ish. For the orange, I bring it down to around -8. I keep the saturation at 0 and the luminance down to about -20. So basically for this one, I keep the saturation how it is and I just make me a little bit more tan. So this picture isn't going to be as orange as the other one. So again, it just kind of depends on what the original picture looks like. And if you want a more orangey preset, then you would use the first one. For yellows, keep the hue at 0, turn the saturation down all the way, and then luminance up to about 50. So again, you can see the yellows do magic. It brings the picture together, so don't worry if it looks a little weird at first. The yellows brings it together. And so for this picture, I would edit my blues just because there is some sky in the background and I don't like blue in my picture. I'd rather the sky be white. So I would bring my saturation down and my luminance up and bam, there you go. Same thing for details as well as the last preset. Bring up the sharpening to as sharp as you like it, and then the color noise reduction up to about 20. And there you go, folks. That's the preset. Don't forget to save it. Create preset, you know, maybe save it under Megan is the best. Thank you so much for making this video. Love ya.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I know that was a lot of information all at once. It is honestly a really hard app to navigate, so it's gonna take some time for you to get used to it. It probably took me 3 days, but for like 10 hours each day, I was just playing on the app and like figuring out what things I liked about it, what things I didn't, and eventually you'll get the hang of it and it will come with like second nature. The only thing I can recommend is honestly just like sitting at home right now and keep uploading pictures and just keep playing with it and get a hang of it. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you for Vlogmas Day 4. Or technically Day 5 because I won't be posting tomorrow.